What do you know about Advent? Do you have any idea where it got its start? And can you guess just how old our observance of the weeks before Christmas that we call Advent, actually how old that observance is? Well, welcome back. This is my second recording of my three-part series about Advent that I'm calling an Advent Adventure. And I'm glad you're joining me here today for this video and to learn more about Advent. My name's Jean Wise. I'm a writer, speaker, retreat leader, spiritual director, and a deacon at my local church. I write twice a week on a blog called healthyspiritualities.org. And I help people of faith explore and discover faith practices that help them experience God in new and deeper ways, such as the example of observing and honoring the season of Advent. So I shared with you in a video that I posted here on my page yesterday about the top 10 facts about Advent. And this coming Thursday, I'll put a video on this page that will talk about tips and ideas and things that we can do throughout the season of Advent to prepare our hearts for the birth of Christ. I have compiled multiple ideas for you, and I put them into a printable sheet called the Advent Resource Guide. And you could download this it's free, and you could download this by going to healthyspirituality.org/Advent. And that's just for you. It's a nice summary of a lot of the things we're going to talk about in the upcoming video. So today, I want to talk about what I call the roots and the shoots of Advent. And what I mean about that is the roots is some of the history and the background, and where did we get this tradition and how it's evolved over the centuries. And then I also want to take you a little bit about what I call the shoots of Advent, which is explaining a lot about the different themes that we have throughout that season. So let's get into this. The shoots. I have 5 shoots that I want to share with you. First, we'll answer the question, how old is the idea of Advent? Well, most scholars can go back and they could see that the first mention in our Christian history for the season of Advent goes back to the 4th century. Advent was the season of preparation for the baptism for new Christians. Most of them that were baptized in Epiphany, which occurs in early January. And so this Advent became a season of prayer and penance for preparation for the baptism. There was no connection at all at this point, a time between Advent and Christmas. And the second root comes out of that. And it was a lot of times there was a period of fasting that occurred. In fact, a lot of the Advent celebrations during this time was associated very similar to what we think of fasting during Lent. That there were certain things that they avoided. And the Advent season didn't start like it does now. We start this year, Advent starts on November 27th, 4 Sundays before Christmas. But back then, Advent started around November, either the 11th or the 15th, and wherever St. Martin's Day fell, and it became known as the St. Martin's Fast. And those are 2 roots. The third root is we jump ahead into the 6th century, and that was when the Roman Christians started associating Lent with the coming of Christ. But it wasn't the coming of Christ like what we think as a baby in a manger in Bethlehem. It was the second coming of Christ, which when he was going to come back to redeem the world and to have his kingdom firmly established on earth. They never again mentioned Christmas. And it was under Gregory the Great, about the 6th century, that we started talking about the 4 Sundays of Lent. But again, the focus was more on the second coming. It was jump forward into the Reformation ages at about 1500s, and that's when the Protestants decided to retain the Roman Catholic dates but rejected a lot of the fasting information. Martin Luther just loved Advent and Christmas and did a lot of talk about let's prepare ourselves for Christmas. Notice how now it's tied to the Christmas season. It was a little bit later our Roman Catholic friends also dropped the fasting side of Advent, keeping that just more for Lent. But it was more that Advent became a time where we focused on God and his birth and him coming as a child born in Bethlehem. Number 5th root was what has happened in the later part of these centuries. In the later part, we seem to have not mentioned Advent at all throughout the 19th century. It's like it was forgotten. It was not even mentioned in a lot of writings until the later part of the 20th century, when there seemed to be a resurgence and an interest of celebrating the season of Lent. And I think some of that has to do with in the 20th century when we got into the commercialization of Christmas, when we got into the buy of Christmas, and we wanted to put our roots, our focus back on the true reason for the season, the birth of Christ. It was also in the later part of the 20th century that Advent became family-oriented instead of an individual-oriented. We started incorporating the kids' activities in different things to help them also focus on the reason for Christ. So there are the 5 shoots of Advent, and I'm going to talk about 6 shoots, 5 roots of Advent, and now I'm going to switch to, the 6 shoots or themes that we could follow about Advent. I get kind of excited about these themes in that most of them are one word, and often we could take one word and hold that, embrace that word even throughout the season of Advent, or take a word a week, or even a word a day. Whatever helps us kind of anchor ourselves focusing on the birth of Christ. Often we could ask God to give us insight into that word. If we pay attention, He'll give us all sorts of insights and learning that we can, and we will find ourselves experiencing God in new ways. So what are some of the themes of Advent? The first one I want to share is the theme of hope. There were reminders of hope all around us throughout the Advent season, and one of the best ones is the Advent wreath. It's circular in shape to remind us of the everlasting, unending love of God. A lot of times it's made up of evergreens to remind us of also the everlasting, the eternity of God. And I love the quote from Romans that goes like this: "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." That's from Romans 15, the 13th verse. Another shoot of Advent is anticipation. We anticipate Christmas coming. We do the countdown. We look at the calendar. We plan our events. And a lot of times that helps us wait that time. It's hard to wait. It's hard for kids, and I think it's hard for the kids inside us, isn't it, to wait all that time. But there are gifts in that waiting time that will emerge, lessons that we learn. And did you know that the Hebrew word for wait also means hope? That alone is the gift of Advent. The third shoot I want to mention, the third word is the word joy. There's a lot of joy associated throughout the Advent season. In fact, the third week of Advent often is called the week of joy. There was a lot of joy with the shepherds when they heard the angels sing, when the kings came to bring him gifts. And we can marvel also at the joy that we've been given individually, that God chose to come to earth as a babe. And acknowledge that God is always creating something new, that there's something out there, that He is the great creator, and there is joy in that creation. The fourth shoot of or theme for Advent is love. We're with our loved ones over Christmas. Sometimes we're kind of sad because our loved ones are no longer with us or can't be with us. We share love with one another. People that are hurting or people that are in need. It is a time of help. And then it's the love of God, that He would chose to come to earth as a baby just for us, and that His unconditional love for us, His love that's beyond our imagination, that He should call us His beloved children. That is an amazing love. The fifth shoot or theme for Advent is peace. And boy, doesn't our world need peace. There's so many parts of the world, including our own country, that cry out for peace. And this is a time of year we could pray for peace. We could find moments of peace in our life individually. I like to, over Advent season, sometimes to turn all the lights on and just sit in front of the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree. I love to listen to the soft hymns and the Christmas carols being played. Sometimes I just hum a Christmas carol instead of singing the words. There's a peace that comes with candlelight, with soft music, with the twinkling lights. And I think that gives us hope that someday those small little moments of peace for us individually will expand throughout the world between all people and all nations. So we'll continue to pray and ponder peace this year. And the last shoot I want to explain to you is a theme, it's a phrase more, and it's light and darkness. We are children of the light, but we live in a world of darkness, a world of evil, a world versus good. And this tension occurs between both of this. And this is a reminder this season to turn our hearts and our minds to the God of light, and knowing and keeping our eyes on Jesus, who is the author and the perfecter of our faith, and that we know that God's light will shine on all these other shoots, that He will shine on the shoot of a joy and a peace and a patience in waiting and of hope, and of course on love. So there are the shoots, and I've shared the roots of Advent with you today. And I hope that in this season where we get caught up with buy and the commercialism, that you remember that this is a wonderful opportunity we have to set our hearts and minds on the coming of the Christ child at Christmas time. Can you tell I get excited about Advent? I think it's an important season and an important time for us as Christians to walk in the light of God. So I will be back and put another video up this coming Thursday where I will share a lot of the tips and resources about Advent. And remember, you can download those on the Advent Resource Guide. This is available free for you at healthyspirituality.org/Advent. And speaking of Christmas and Advent, I'm proud to share with you my most latest book that I have published. It's called Christmas Seasonings. It's 101 quotes to flavor the holidays. And I think you'll find in here a lot of tidbits of wisdom that you could share on your greeting cards, on your text messages and social media. It's a nice reference of Christmas and Advent quotes. It's available on Amazon, and you can check out my author page at healthyspirituality.org/Amazon. That'll take you to all the books that I've written, including my latest on Christmas seasonings. And I want to close with an Advent blessing for you today, and it goes like this. May the spirit of Advent, which is peace. May the gladness of Advent, which is hope. May the adoration of Advent, which is joy. And may the heart of Advent, which is love, be yours now, tomorrow, and forever. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.